Good morning, everyone. It is
Good
the
morning.
education which
Good
not
morning.
only transforms a human animal into a rational human being, but also prepares and develops us to survive and lead a successful life. A very good morning to one and all present over here. I, Neha Bargotra, student of MAT third semester, Meyer College of Education, welcome you all in today's teachers presented webinar on the topic Recent Developments in Education. Now, I would like to invite Mrs. Sahiba Sharma, student of PG department, for formal welcome address.
A smile is the universal welcome. Good morning, everyone. I, Sahiba Sharma, student from MEd third semester, feels immense pleasure to start this webinar by heartily welcoming everybody. On behalf of Library Committee, first of all, I feel delighted to welcome our respected Principal Sir Dr. Adit Gupta, the motivator and the guiding force of this esteemed institution, Meyer. A great personality who has set high expectations for all the students as well as for the teachers. Now, I would welcome all resource persons present here. Dr. Ronika Sharma, HOD UG Department, Dr. Rita Trivedi, Assistant Professor UG Department, Dr. Bharti Tandon, Associate Professor PG Department, Dr. Bindu Dua, Assistant Professor PG Department. Now, I would like to welcome both heads, Dr. Moolraj Sharma, HOD PG Department, Dr. Ronika Sharma, HOD UG Department. Now, I would like to welcome both Deputy Heads, Dr. Nishtha Rana, Deputy HOD PG Department, and Dr. Monica Bajaj, Deputy HOD UG Department. Now, I would like to welcome the organizers of this webinar, Mr. Sunil Kumar Bhatt, Librarian UG Department, and Mrs. Isha Sharma, Librarian PG Department. Now, I would also like to welcome IQAC team, our esteemed teachers and beloved students of UG and PG department. I am sure we have an engaging and enriching session ahead.
Thank you, Saiba, for this warm welcome. You might have attended number of webinars on certain topics, but this webinar is very important as its theme is recent developments in education. And we all are studying education as one of our important subject. Now, I request all the teachers and students to kindly note down their queries. Our resource persons will take their queries in the open house after their deliberation. So let's start it with our first resource person, Dr. Bharti Tandon, Associate Professor, PG Department, to present her deliberation on the topic Recent Trends and Developments in Inclusive Education.
Thank you, Neha, and I feel great pleasure that I've been, invited to present in this webinar. And I would start with saying that even though the theme of the webinar is the recent trends in education, but my focus would be specifically on inclusive education. But whatever we are going to talk about, discuss in this, the time that is given to me in this session, it is not only restricted to special or inclusive. We can use those in other inclusive settings and in regular schools also. Having said that, I would like to share my PPTs and then proceed further with the topic. So just give me 1 second. I'm going to share with my PPTs.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
All right. The PPTs are visible to you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So we are starting with recent trends in inclusive education. Some of you might be familiar with what is inclusive education, but I would like to take a chance, an opportunity to, talk about what is inclusive education and then go to what are the trends, what are the advances that has happened in inclusive education. So starting with inclusive education, we mean by inclusive education as such is all the children, irrespective of their linguistic background, the socioeconomic background, or abilities, or other abilities, or what we are going to talk about is that here we are specifically focused on the abilities. So I'm focusing the children who have diverse abilities. When they are in the regular schools, we call it as an inclusive education. So they participate in different aspects of the school. So inclusive education actually happens when the school, they design the curriculum, they have an architectural free environment, when their programs and activities are planned and executed in such a manner that all the children, they get an equal chance, and their needs, their requirements are also taken into consideration so they can participate in those activities, whether we are talking about the curricular activities, in-class activities, or co-curricular activities, or other experiences in the school. Now the question is, why do we need inclusive education? So when we say that all children, irrespective what special needs they have, when they are in the same class in an inclusive setting, they are with other the non-disabled peers, what it happens or what it creates is that it removes the label. So we are not specifically focusing on children with their disability here. So it removes the label. We don't say that, oh, this is a child with learning disability, or this is a child with physical disability. So removing the labels also help in breaking isolation. So they are not segregated, they are not discriminated, they are not put in one corner, they are not put in one separate classroom in the school. So all the children have the right to learn together in the same classroom. They have a same environment. It is taught by the same teacher, even though there could be different support system in the classroom. So this inclusive education also helps in developing the respect for one another. Here by one another, I mean that children with disability also, and children without disabilities. So they learn from interaction from each other. They develop not only the academic skills, but also the social skills. Building relationship, having friendship is also very important. How do you develop those bonds? So both the groups, they become sensitive to the needs of each other. And children without disability also are able to get an exposure. They also become sensitive to what are the needs of children with disability. So in inclusion or inclusive education, what we focus is on the strengths, the positive side, what the abilities are, rather than focusing on what the child can't do, right? So what he or she is not capable of doing. So we are focusing on the strength of the students, and then how can we capitalize on that strength? How can we engage that child into the classroom? There are two types broadly of inclusion. One is a full inclusion. So the child is all the time in the classroom, will study different subjects, will participate in different activities in the classroom. That's a full inclusion. But different commissions and policies, and they also say that if the child requires a separate environment, then we can also consider partial inclusion, because the bottom line is that the child has a learning experience in the classroom, right? So it's a meaningful learning experience. It is not just that child is in the classroom and that becomes an inclusion, right? So you are ignoring the child in the classroom, but since the child is in the classroom, you would say that it's an inclusion. So moving further is, this is just an idea that how far we have come when we talk about the special education or inclusive education. So initially, starting with the children with disability were not given the opportunity to get an education, to get involved. And then it came to special school, to special classes, to integrate them for some time. And now we are talking about, we are advocating about inclusion or inclusive education. So the trends here that I'm going to talk about are broadly divided into five important areas, but I'm going to focus on first three, that is technology, the trauma-informed teaching, and twice exceptional students. So when we are talking about the technology here, we are focusing on different technologies that are being used in inclusive education. Not only, how the teachers can teach, what kind of technology they can use, how the content can be presented, how the student can learn, how the student can apply the information. So all these are the aspects that are covered in the technology in inclusive education. So the first one here that I'm going to talk about is the artificial intelligence. So it's a wide range of the smart machines that are there that is helping and performing different functions or activities which require otherwise an human intelligence. So that is why we say that artificial intelligence, because it is outside, we are talking about the human intelligence. Now examples, some of the examples that we are familiar with artificial intelligence is that if you have an iPhone, you must have seen, you must have experienced that you have a Siri, you talk to this function, different processes, different functions could be undertaken by Siri. Similarly, Alexa. Then we have seen on TV about different driving cars where you don't have to actually sit. It looks like very fantastic. You don't have to learn driving, I guess. You have a system where the car will sensor. You can just like a GPS, you put the address and the car can sensor if somebody is coming in front of the car, or all those things could be done. Similarly, there are robo-advisors. You can talk to robots. Interaction could be there. We'll talk about this, taking examples from special education like autism and other, where the robots are being used in the classroom, which are conversational bots. Then in simple activities like email spam filters, or even going to Amazon, when you do a shopping there, the Amazon starts giving you messages saying, based on your preference, this is what you like to shop. All these could be the examples that we can have for artificial intelligence. Now, how we are using this artificial intelligence in in either inclusive or special education is that these engines, which we call as artificial intelligence engines, they make programs which could be used for identifying the needs of children in the classroom, not only restricted to the disability, but other learning needs. How the child can learn, the different styles of learning, and then how the child can apply that information. All those could be customized and personalized with the help of artificial intelligence. It also gives you an overview, and that overview given by use of different programs of artificial intelligence can also help the teacher to identify different teaching pedagogies to maximize the learning. This is one of the example that we talked about earlier, that robots could be used. So here, a student with autism can actually interact with conversational bots, they call it, and that can help in having a connection or interaction. And then actually, that could be taken a step further, and you can have the child interacted in a group, because as autism, we know that these children, they shy away. They move away from having a relationship or interaction in a classroom or in a group. Similarly, other examples could be hearing aids. They're coming with, they can filter the sound, है ना, जो बाकी बाहर की जो आवाजें हैं उनको filter करके the clear sounds could be given. Microsoft is using Microsoft Translator, जो human speech को captions में convert कर सकता है. Similarly, FaceTime is also using the sign language and signing also. So that could also be a part of teaching learning in a classroom, where you have children with hearing impairment. You can use that to actually have a meaningful learning. Then other examples could be, we all are quite familiar with light signals, touch screens, magnifiers, voice recognition softwares, handheld GPS units, adapted car seats, and then word prediction. I think in email, if we switch on the word prediction, it gives you how can you complete a sentence. That could also help in learning disability as such. Then we're coming to augmented reality. What is augmented reality? Here, actually, the augmented reality coming into inclusion through universal design learning and inclusive classroom is that the real objects could be enhanced, and this is actually the computer application perceptions, where you can enhance the real object, take into the environment where students can interact with them and can learn without actually going to the real environment as such. These are two examples. The first picture actually shows the child is trying to look at the globe and what different countries, and then you can see that the picture specific to one country, and then what are the different monuments that could be there. Similarly, we can use in day-to-day life, giving you a street view and what is there in that particular street, and we can have a better idea. There are students who are directional, they have difficulties and challenges, so knowing that can help them to function better. So you can see the objects in the real world, and then you can play with them, and there could be apps like Pokemon and Snapchats. They are becoming huge on augmented reality. It gives you an opportunity for interaction, and also in the classroom, where you can interact physically with the real objects which are there, they exist in the world. So you can work with those objects as such. Other could be the apps like Anatomy Atlas, जहाँ पे 3D आपको pictures मिलते हैं, so you can, through science also, you can look at different the structure of a heart, and then you can move around and you can have a 3D picture of that heart, and you can learn how different functionings could be done. There are other examples. Then this is one where we are talking about where they can create these apps, and you can virtually go into use of these apps that you can have 3D objects as such. So next one is the virtual reality. I would like to first share a video, and first if this could open. So you can actually, there are tours and other things on virtual tours, and this is...
Welcome to Columbia University in the city of New York. Specifically, we're on the island of Manhattan, which means island of many hills in the language of the Lenni Lenape people.
So you can move around and you can see,
This building is MUD, home to the Fu Foundation School of Engineering and Applied Science, also known as SEAS or Columbia Engineering. This is the third oldest engineering school in the country. As a Pupin Laboratories, or just Pupin, is one of the world's leading centers of physics research and is a designated national landmark. It was here that scientists invented the laser beam and developed FM radio. The astronomy department also hosts stargazing events at the observatory on the top floor. Every year, Columbia receives approximately $1 billion for research, and a significant percentage of those
Okay, I would also like to share a few glimpses of this particular video that is there on a YouTube. You can also have,
So I've got my essay written, and I've been working on it for about a week. I'm going to show you how I use Grammarly to edit.
So before we go and see this video, I'm sorry, I will be, tampering how it is being played just to give you an idea. So you can excuse me for that, not like having a very smooth playing of this video, but I'm going to show you how we can do it here.
Hi, and welcome to London. My name is Peter, and I'm going to show you around to all the great hotspots of this city, like the Big Ben behind me, the Westminster Abbey on the right of you, and many more. So come follow me.
Keep doing this.
The tower in front of you is called the Big Ben, one of the most striking and well-known tower clocks in the world. In fact, the Big Ben is not the clock itself. It is actually the name of the big bell inside the tower, and its official name is the Great Bell. It was built in 1859 and is one of the most prominent symbols in the United Kingdom. Another great symbol is this 1,000-year-old church, the Westminster Abbey. It has been used as a venue for many famous and royal weddings, like that of Prince William and Kate Middleton. It's also the final resting place for many.
So I just wanted to, give an idea that you can, you can go to these 360 virtual videos here, and then you can take, how you can play with that. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's just onward. Okay, so you can see those videos, you can move around and you can go up and down, and you can have 360 view, and you can go back. You also have a voice that is being there in that. So that gives you an idea about this, and just going further that you can use them. Then the trauma informed is we are keeping into mind the emotional aspect of children with disability. So we are not neglecting that. So neurobiological aspect is considered nowadays, that when you have children with, who have different experiences, there could be intense experiences that are taken into consideration. So you can expect different responses from that. You can channelize the strategies and be specific. You can look at their competencies as such. These switching activities are called as distractors, and you can use different distractors for that. And coming to the last one is twin exceptionality or comorbidity, where we are having two different disabilities. We are going cross, disability here. And again, the focus is on the strength, the multiple ways of teaching you can do. They can respond to new content and address, previous learning. You can teach them organizational skills as such. Collaboration and communication could be an aspect. The very important feature is, when we are focusing nowadays, is self-advocacy. The child needs to ask for help. Child needs to accept what limitations are there, and then ask for help. That is the thing, that you're not imposing the help, but you are letting the child to make a decision and go for self-advocacy, not feeling, low that they have this limitation or not able to perform. And the stress management is another aspect of it. So with this, I've taken a little longer. And with this, we come to an end of, my presentation here about what are the different enhancements that are there in inclusive education. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for sharing this valuable information with us. And I'm sure it will also help us in future. And now I would like to invite our second resource person, Dr. Ronika Sharma, HOD UG Department. She'll throw light on the topic Development in Special Education, Redesigning Curriculum for Skill Development and Vocationalization.
I hope I am audible to everyone.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Actually, thank you so much, Bharti ma'am, because my topic is related to yours only. And as we all know that there are two sides to every story, and it applies to special education also. Basically, in the early years of special education, if we look into, there was one clearly defined goal, that is an appropriate education for students with disabilities, wherein parents, professionals, and students with disabilities rallied together to attain this right. Having secured this goal, the allies splintered into numerous advocacy groups, and each fighting for different issues in special education. Earlier, the issues were like school reform, full inclusion, standard assessment, and disability classification. But nowadays, if we look into this, there is a dire need to talk about skill development and vocationalization. And I will be sharing some information about it only. I'll be just sharing a presentation. Hope my PowerPoint presentation is visible to all.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just now, Dr. Bharti also talked about inclusive education. So, journey is to becoming an inclusive school, and it may be long and challenging at times, but ultimately this journey can strengthen a school community and benefit all children. And when we talk all children, these all are the categories, which includes minority, physical disability, slum children, creative, gifted, nomadic, learning styles, poverty, orphan, child labor, domestic workers, migrants, street children, underachiever, even the children belongs to remote area, dropouts, first generation learner, behavioral problems, or the kids with learning disabilities, sensory disabilities, and so on. And to have inclusion, it is not only the responsibility of the parent or a single school, it is the responsibility of school district, home, state, school, and even the classroom teacher itself. We might have seen in these pictures, students are struggling hard to learn. This is depicting a scene of a class where a teacher is trying to teach, but students are not able to learn. There must be some reasons behind it. We need to explore all those reasons. Inclusion does not mean the placement of children with special needs in general curriculum. The schools and colleges need to change their traditional way of functioning, particularly their curriculum and their structure to accommodate the different needs of the individual. No doubt there are n number of barriers, and curriculum is one of them. The question is how to overcome. What is the solution? The reply is there is a dire need to go for redesigning of the curriculum. But again, how to go about it? How to redesign? There are three ways we can implement for redesigning our curriculum. We can go for curriculum adaptation, we can go for curriculum accommodation, and we can go for curriculum modification. And this is need of the hour. There is a need for the development of successful inclusive school and the schools for all, in which learning and participation of all children is valued. We are imagining a school like this, a school which is welcoming each and every child irrespective of their disabilities. Though we do have supportive legislations for this, we have RCI Act, we have Persons with Disability Act, we have National Trust Act, we have UNCRP, the United Nations Convention on Rights of Persons with Disability, and recently we have Rights for Persons with Disability Act 2016 also, which covers 21 disabilities. But what next? If we admit a child in the school or in a college, and after completing that very particular school life and college life, where we are going to have that child? What are the provisions we are having for the children with special needs after their schooling? For this, recently, India government has set up a skill council for persons with disabilities. I would like to give you an overview for it. Basically, it is formatted in October 2015, and it targets skill development of persons with disability as per industry needs and facilitate gainful employment. It provides a synergistic framework of latest tools and technology in training, content, generation, and monitoring of training. It improves the vocational training of persons with disability by providing standard guidelines for skill training, curriculum, methodology, assessment, and certification. It encourages synergistic participation of private sector and non-government organizations in training and placement of persons with disabilities. Because finally, it is the life of dignity and self-worth by contributing to the India's growing economy. Skill Council for Persons with Disabilities has created 6 expository so far. That is for the blind, low vision, speech and hearing impairment, locomotor disability, intellectual disability, and autism spectrum disorders. What is expository? It is a unique document which is created by the Skill Council for Persons with Disability to facilitate training of persons with disability. And this expository is disability specific. It serves as a tool to expound information regarding diverse training needs specific to type of disability to enable successful skilling of persons with disabilities. Dear students, these all are the sectors where we can involve persons with disabilities, and the job mapping and job role has been developed by Skill Council. I will not read one by one, but definitely I will share my presentation with you all. If you could see in the agriculture and allied area, there is the job role of a gardener, organic grower, small poultry farmer, dairy farmer, entrepreneur, inline checker, pressman, and these are the mapping. These could be having with learning disabilities, people with low vision can be involved in this, autism spectrum disorder, low vision, speech hearing impairments. So these all are a kind of work which has been done by the Skill Council of Persons with Disability, and they have a job mapping for all the disabled person where we can fit in all these depending upon their interest and their skill. We have beauty and wellness area, in the electronic sector, in the food processing, in the furniture and fitting, in the gems and jewelry, green jobs we can give them, ITs, leather, media, retail, textile sector. So all these are the areas where we can avail the services of persons with disabilities irrespective of their disabilities. And I would like to share with you all some successful stories of these persons who are really doing hard and struggling for their life, and finally they reach to some place and now they are leading a life with dignity and a quality life. And the success stories are here for you all. And these all are the role models for others to emulate. First, blind IS officer, Ravi Arora. He is a blind man, but he is an IS officer. And he was appointed as an IS officer under IS cadre. We have Amit Jain, a visually impaired student, and he is the first person who completed MBA and then PhD from the most premier management institute. We have Dea. She is a deaf-blind girl, but she won a silver medal in jewelry making. Deaf-blind means the girl is not able to hear and see. Without seeing how she is designing jewelry, you can well imagine. Shivang is a mentally challenged student of St. Xavier College, and he has adjudged Student of the Year award. But a mentally challenged, a child with intellectual disability. We have Disha Sharma. She is a Down syndrome girl, but proud holder of BCom degree. Then Ganesh, he is a person with autism and he clears 12th class examination. He also completed ITI level course in DTP and computers. Shruti, she is again a person with deaf blindness and she holds a diploma in physiotherapy, and now she is giving physiotherapy to the patients. Ranchor, he makes a film, Listening to Shadows, and he got 6 international awards for his movie. Managing Director of Multi-Speciality Hospital Siddhivinayak, Dr. Kunal. He is again a blind person, but he is taking care of his hospital and he started a physiotherapy clinic. Again, Mr. Rajesh Seth, he is again a deaf-blind person, man, but he is running his own sweet shop. Dr. Kunal Shastri, a renowned preacher, has been conferred national award. बहुत सारी जगहों पे ये रामायण और गीता जैसों का प्रीचिंग करते हैं बिना देखे, ग्रंथ को देखते नहीं हैं, और he has been conferred a national award for this. और इनकी बुकिंग हो जाती हैं सालों साल और बहुत अच्छा बोलते हैं ये. He is a renowned preacher. Bhavina is a world silver medalist and she is a wheelchair. You can see in the picture also. Well, my last lesson is successful inclusion at school should target inclusion at higher education also, and also at professional level. So make conclusion a way of life. Start by doing what's necessary, then do what's possible, and suddenly you are doing the impossible. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you very much for this valuable and noteworthy information, ma'am. Goosebumps आ रहे थे इनके नाम सुन के, सच में ना, जो ऐसे लोग भी IAS ऑफिसर बन सकते हैं.
If
जो
you,
motivate करने वाले हैं.
Neha, I just want to share a small video as an objective evidence where I just want to show that how that girl is making a painting. So I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, ma'am. Visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Swapna Augustine was born without arms, but has found acclaim as an artist, painting impressive pictures with her feet. She's exhibited and sold her work in India and abroad, and has won a number of accolades. Most recently, an Adyavadi Women Achievers Award in 2015. Before Swapna was born, her father Augustine dreamt that his wife Sophie would give birth to a baby without arms, who would go on to bring glory to the family's name. When she was born 3 months later, her parents named her Swapna, which means dream in their native tongue, Malayalam. Even as a child, Swapna was fiercely independent. At aged 4, she started kindergarten. Soon learned to write the alphabet in sand using her feet. She continued her education, and after graduating from St. Joseph's College for Women in Kerala, joined the Mouth and Foot Painting Artists Association, an international society for disabled artists. She trained with an art teacher for 2 years, and now Swapna regularly takes part in artistic workshops with physically disabled students when she's not producing her own paintings. Over the next few years, Swapna aims to create an autobiographical painting, telling her inspiring life story.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Hats off है इन लोगों को, सच में कर लेते हैं सबका. Okay. Now I would like to invite Dr. Bindu Dua, Assistant Professor, PG Department, to throw some light on the topic, challenges and opportunities in education during pandemic.
A very good morning to all of you. Since we have heard so much about the inclusive education and children with special needs, but the time has come when everything has stopped. The children are not going to school, and we are facing a lot of problems since 2020. Now we have certain challenges which the country is facing. We all know that pandemic is going on. अभी हम चल ही रहे थे कि हम एक्सपीरियंशियल लर्निंग की तरफ जाएं, तो हमारे सामने आ गई वर्चुअल लर्निंग, जिसके बीच में हम फंसे हैं कि भाई हम बच्चे को फेस टू फेस देखें या हम बच्चे को ऑनलाइन पढ़ाएं. और द बिगेस्ट चैलेंज बिफोर द टीचर एंड द चिल्ड्रन is that how to overcome the problem of this virtual teaching and learning. So I'll be sharing the presentation. I think the screen is visible. Gone are the days when when classrooms were only pocky with textbooks and blackboards. Rather, the recent evolution towards the classroom has changed the way of learning of the child. See, we were all the time, since the long time, ages and ages, we have seen that the small classrooms were filled with textbooks, teacher holding a textbook in the hand and the teacher with the textbook in the hands and using the blackboards for teaching and learning process. But now there is a shift that the classroom has changed and the learning process has changed. The modern era, the classrooms are not only furnished with various tools of education, but the relationship between the parents and the educational professionals to help amplify the overall development of the child. Our focus today is on the overall development of the child. Our basic motive is that the child should harmoniously develop or holistic development of the child. So the lifestyle has changed, the norms of living have changed, and that has affected the education trends in India too. We all know that education is a basic right of every child. But at present, how many of us or how many of the young children are really getting education during the pandemic time is really a great challenge. The thing which majorly changed in education is a shift from subject-based rote learning to the more skill-oriented learning methods. So the challenges in education during the pandemic is, if we just remember the words of Dickinson, the worst of the time, but most unintended ways, also the best of time. Why worst of time? See, we have seen lot many people who are passing through this, rather we all are passing through the phase, and we have seen, yes, it is the worst of the time. And the best is that all the time the government made policies कि भाई हमें वर्चुअली आना है, हमें डिजिटली स्ट्रांग होना है, और ये बेस्ट टाइम इसलिए माना गया है ताकि क्योंकि हमने देखा है कि आज हम सब डिजिटली स्ट्रांग हो चुके हैं. So before the lockdown, the challenge for school was finding a sweet spot between theoretical and experiential learning. भाई हमारा था कि हम experiential learning की तरफ जाएं, थ्योरी को हटा दें, थ्योरी कम कर दें. After the move to virtual learning, it has become about finding a collective ikigai, that is finding our own reason of being. Why we are into this world, that is the biggest reason in the present times. So while the benefits of online learning are manifold, there are still many challenges in the way ahead towards making education an entirely digital online phenomenon. हम मानते हैं कि बेनिफिट बहुत ज़्यादा हैं, लेकिन जो challenges हैं, क्या हम पूरा digitally हो पाएंगे या हो पाए हैं, that is a challenge. So the first and foremost challenge before us is mastering the virtual world. We all know that this virtual world is a huge and a wide world, which is a limitless world. Now, how to master that world, that is the biggest challenge for the teacher as well as students. See, how to cater the needs of a student who is just 4 or 5 years of age. That's the greatest challenge. Teacher उसकी attention को अपनी तरफ ले नहीं पाता है, उसको motivate कर नहीं पाता है. अगर हम छोटे बच्चों की बात करते हैं कि बच्चे को कहाँ तक लेके जाए, कैसे हम उसके साथ अपनी bonding बना पाए, that is the biggest challenge for the teacher and the learner who is really, you can say, a bud, a small child. उसके लिए तो virtual world कुछ है ही नहीं है. उसके लिए तो यही लगता था कि my teacher is everything. And now he or she is facing the great difficulty where all the time the child is sitting in front of the camera, और अगर देखने में आता है कि भाई उस बच्चे को हम कहाँ तक किस तरीके से आगे पहुंचाएंगे, जो हमारे लिए एक बहुत चैलेंजिंग सिचुएशन है. Then the second is challenge for the teachers. How to motivate the students? That's the biggest challenge for the teachers. And how to assess the progress of the students. We have seen, you all are also in this process, that to attain the attention of the student in the classroom is the great or the biggest challenge for the teacher. Sometimes the teacher are physically present, or they show their physical presence in the classroom without switching on the cameras. But they are neither physically there nor they are mentally there. That is the greatest challenge. And then is illiterate parents, of course. How to deal with these parents in the present scenario? That is a great difficulty. We know that many of the children are first generation learner. They often tell their parents that we need these digital gadgets like smartphones or laptops, और बच्चे पेरेंट बेचारे जो इलिटरेट हैं जिनको खुद नहीं पता है कि भाई क्या करना है, और बच्चा अक्सर क्या करता है, कंप्यूटर खोलता है, फोन खोल के सामने बैठा है और कहता है कि भाई आई एम स्टडिंग. एंड द पेरेंट्स who are really ignorant, they do believe their children and say, yes, my child is studying. But when the result comes, they really know the reality what actually has happened. So their children are really too smart. They are playing with the parents, they are playing with the teacher, and they are playing with the authorities, and as well as the foremost is they are playing with themselves only. Then cancellation of examinations. All the time आज डेट शीट आती है, कल आता है कि भाई डेट शीट कैंसिल हो गई है. रीजन क्या है कि पैंडेमिक है, बच्चे आज तैयारी कर रहे हैं और कल उनको ये नहीं पता है कि व्हाट विल बी देयर फ्यूचर. And then the next is the world with no boundaries. We all know that this virtual world is boundaryless. कितना पढ़ाना है, कितना पढ़ना है, कहाँ तक जाना है, ये हमें नहीं पता है और हमारे बच्चे इस चैलेंज को फेस कर रहे हैं. आप देखिए, अगर हम एक छोटी सी ही अपनी जो हमारा टॉपिक है उस पर डालते हैं एंड वी गेट लॉट ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन एंड वी रियली गेट कंफ्यूज्ड व्हाट टू एक्सेप्ट एंड व्हाट नॉट टू एक्सेप्ट. Then we were not prepared. That is unpreparedness of students and teachers. We both were not prepared. Neither the student nor the teacher. बात करते थे ब्लेंडिंग मोड की, बात करते थे लर्निंग की कि भाई वर्चुअल लर्निंग होगी, we'll give you the notes and you will come prepared to the classroom, we will discuss. But nobody was so much you can say serious about that. And जब ये पैंडेमिक आया तो हमने क्या कहा, डिफरेंट मोड्स हमने यूज किए. वी यूज्ड दिस गूगल मीट, वी यूज्ड दिस Zoom platform, some Blackboard app, and different apps were prepared. And the teachers and the students took a lot of time to get connected to those apps and the digital gadgets. कौन सा खरीदें? मार्केट में आप देखेंगे कितना सारे गैजेट्स हैं, और कौन सा लें which is best suitable for the children, that is a challenge for the parents, because every child say, oh, I should have a very good laptop and the speed of the laptop, your phone should be very good. And what to talk about the children who are from the rural areas. It has been seen कि बात करते हैं, कभी बात होती है तो वो कहते हैं कि हमने तो लैपटॉप जो 20,000 या 25,000 का, तो बच्चे कहते हैं कि भाई हमने तो 50,000 में भी खरीदा है क्योंकि हमें ब्लैकमेल किया जा रहा है. तो हमारे लिए चैलेंज बन जाता है कि हम इस सिचुएशन से कैसे ओवरकम करें. Then we have lost a lot of nutrition due to school closure. See, why many of the children joined the school because of this midday meal scheme. Now, how to retain those students in the classroom, how to grab the attention of those students towards the learning, that is the challenge for the schools also. बहुत सारे बच्चे थे जो मॉर्निंग में रात को नाइट जॉब करते थे या काम करते थे और स्कूल में आते थे कि भाई हमें सुबह घर खाना नहीं मिलेगा, वी विल कम टू स्कूल, वी विल हैव आवर sumptuous lunch and we'll go back. So the biggest challenge is how to retain those children in the school. If we just talk about the children, those who really belong to the poor strata of the society, what is happening to their education? बहुत आसपास के बच्चों में देखते हैं कि घर के आसपास कितने सारे ऐसे बच्चे हैं जो स्कूल छोड़ चुके हैं. Now, will these children be really streamlined? Will they really join the school? And many of the schools who were in the local localities have closed. The reason is because the children से जो बाहर के बच्चे आए हैं, चाहे वो छत्तीसगढ़ से हैं या बिहार से हैं या यूपी से हैं, the parents are not ready to send them to school. जैसे टीचर ने क्या करना है, वो ऑनलाइन हमें भेज देता है, बच्चे को समझ तो कुछ आ नहीं रहा है, ना उसकी कोई रीडिंग स्किल डेवलप हो रही है, ना उसकी कोई राइटिंग स्किल डेवलप हो. Will these children really come to the regular stream when the schools will open? That's the challenge for the government as well as for the private schools, or you can say the schools who are in the localities. Then passive learning by the students. Children are not actively participating in any of the activities. So as the teacher is teaching in the classroom, the children do sit in front of the cameras. Their cameras are switched off and they are listening to the teachers. But how much they are learning from that, it may be only, you can say, listening jo hai, it is a casual listening, which really is not going into their mind. Then we have opportunities in education during pandemic. Of course, challenges तो हैं, उसके साथ हमें opportunities भी बहुत सारी मिली हैं, जिसको हम कह सकते हैं access to the digital world, जिससे हम बहुत दूर थे. 2017 में बोला गया, 2015 में बोला गया, digital world, digitalization, digital India. We are really, अगर हम देखें opportunity है कि हाँ हम उस digital world में we have stepped in. Then access to global education. Now the education is not limited or confined to one country. We have seen lot many online courses through the different universities of the world. Then we have moved towards blended learning. Of course, बात होती थी blended learning की, लेकिन आज हम उसके पास पहुंच चुके हैं, जहां पे हम बात करते हैं ऑनलाइन लर्निंग एज वेल एज फेस टू फेस लर्निंग. तो वहां तक हम अब उस मुकाम तक पहुंच चुके हैं जहां तक हमारी कंट्री की एक डेवलपमेंट की बात आती है, जहां पे हम ग्लोबल एजुकेशन की बात करते थे, जहां हम डिजिटल वर्ल्ड की बात करते थे. वी आर कमिंग क्लोजर टू दैट. Then definitely we always talked about paperless society. We always talked about less use of paper, or you can say that will make we'll cut down the trees. So we have reached that stage where the soft copy of learning material is provided to all. आप खुद भी देखिए, बच्चे जो हैं, स्टूडेंट्स जो हैं, आज हम क्या करते हैं, we make a PDF, we just click the photos of the book and we just make a PDF and share with the students in the classroom. That is all we are providing, the soft copy of the learning material to the children. With this, we are saving the paper. This is the biggest opportunity. And then improvement in collaborative work. पहले collaboration मुश्किल थी. Everybody said, oh, कहाँ जाएंगे? Now the collaboration has become so easy with this during this pandemic era. हमने ये देखा कि कितने सारे हमारे online webinars, पहले हम सुनते थे about the online webinars, and now we are participating in those online webinars, conferences, or even workshops. Then then enhanced digital literacy. Yes, of course, digital literacy has been enhanced during this period, and improve the use of electronic media for sharing information. वो भी है, हमने देखा कि we are using the electronic media, we are using the smartphones, we are using the laptops, we are using the desktop for sharing the information with each other. And the worldwide exposure. Yes, we are getting exposed to the whole world. We are not confined to only our country, but we are rather getting exposure to the whole of the world. Just clicking with with a one click of our hand, we open so many websites by which we can get information on any topic. And a better time management. देखिए कितने सारे courses आए हैं, हम अपने time के according उन courses को, we can view those courses, we can be the participant of those courses, and definitely our time will come जब हमारे जितने सारे हमारे इंडिया में भी online courses हैं, वो भी हमारे time के according to हैं. The examination will be according to our own time. Then the utilization of innovative methods of education. The biggest innovative method of education which we are using is the online teaching. through different modes like you can say Google Classroom or the Google Meet, or you can say the Blackboard app, जो सारा कुछ ही हमें क्लियर कर देता है आपने कितने सेकंड्स के लिए ज्वाइन किए, आपको भी इंफॉर्मेशन आ जाती है. और अगर बच्चा लेट ज्वाइन करता है, अगर 5 मिनट्स, तो दे आर नॉट अलाउड टू एंटर द क्लासरूम ऑल्सो. So there are certain steps which the government has taken to ensure no loss of education during the COVID. To ensure that every student gets continued access to education, a multi-pronged approach has been adopted. A comprehensive initiative called PM E-Vidya has been initiated as part of Atmanirbhar Bharat on 17th May 2020, which unifies all efforts related to digital, online, on-air education to enable multi-mode access to education. देखिए, जब हमने देखा कि भाई अब हमारा जो आत्मनिर्भर भारत के अंदर जो भी हमारी स्कीम्स आई हैं या जो हमने इनिशिएटिव लिए हैं, दैट इज फॉर digitalization of education or on-air education through radio. The first is the Diksha. No doubt it was started in 2017. One Nation, One Digital Platform. And the further जो पहले था, इसमें अब inclusion क्या हुई है? They have energized all the textbooks of all grades are available. Simply by scanning the QR code, we get access. Even जो platform है उसके through हमने ये भी देखा है कि बहुत सारे हमारे जो online courses हैं, teachers can do those courses. And one unmarked Swayam Prabha जो TV channel per class from class 1 to class 12. We have a separate classroom for all the classes from class 1 to class 12. And then extensive use of radio, community radio and CBSE podcast जो शिक्षा वाणी है, जिसके थ्रू आप देख सकते हो कि बहुत सारे lectures जो हैं on air, we can hear them through the radio. And then the special e-content for visually and hearing impaired developed on digitally accessible information system and in sign language on NIS website और YouTube पे भी हम देख सकते हैं कि बहुत सारा e-content आया है जो कि visually and hearing impaired students के लिए है, and they can also access to those content, and it is very much there in the NIS website and YouTube. So I would like to conclude. A way forward we have to go. An unprecedented global crisis of COVID-19 has made the education sector face many challenges. These challenges have made the world think of possible solutions to overcome the obstacles due to the crisis. देखिए, जब प्रॉब्लम आई है तो उसको ओवरकम भी हमने करना है. जो हमें अपॉर्चुनिटीज मिली है, we need to grab those opportunities so that we can show our best. The Indian education sector has been impacted tremendously when so many children had to sit at home. देखिए, हम बात करते हैं कि भाई हर बच्चा जो है, वो हर पेरेंट जो है, चाहे वो लिटरेट है, हर पेरेंट चाहता है कि भाई जो मैंने प्रॉब्लम देखी है वो मेरा बच्चा नहीं देखे. So everybody is trying hard so that their children can receive the education. So technological innovations in the sector have made it possible to navigate through such difficult times. The sector has been using technology to come up with various possible solutions. These initiatives made sure to provide the platform to have access to various educational resources and guiding tools to be able to continue the learning virtually. देखिए, initiatives government ले रही है, schools initiative ले रहे हैं, colleges initiative ले रहे हैं, ताकि हम बच्चों को virtual learning की तरफ ले जाएं. Till the date that things become perfectly all right. So I would like to come end to the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for enlightening us with your deliberation. Last but not the least, I would like to invite Dr. Rita Dwivedi, Assistant Professor, UG Department. She'll give her deliberation on the topic, Recent Development in Teaching Methodology.
Rita ji, please unmute yourself. Rita ma'am, unmute yourself.
Bindu ma'am, stop sharing.
Sir, actually, I was trying to share my slide.
Bindu ma'am.
So, sir, give me a few seconds.
Bindu ma'am, please stop sharing.
Sir, I am trying to share. If she will stop, then only I can share.
Yes, you can now start sharing.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Okay, is it visible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am, visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. So, good morning to everyone. I would like to thank the library committee for giving me this platform to speak about this topic, recent developments in teaching methodologies. So, I will start with I will start with what is teaching. In general terms, teaching is the process of attending to people's needs, experiences, and feelings, and making specific interventions to help them learn particular things. But teaching is more than that, what I believe. In my opinion, teaching is being careful that you acknowledge every student every day. Teaching is never forgetting that for a moment, each day, you might be the only person who touches someone's life. It is constantly being aware of what you are doing wrong in the classroom and then trying to fix ways to correct them. Teaching is you don't know about the subject deeply, but to when your family is relaxing, watching TV, or out for enjoyment, but you are correcting papers. You are grading papers and entering grades while simultaneously eating lunch also, giving a makeup test and helping a student with a particularly difficult problem. So this is what teaching is, in my opinion. Over the years, there have been visible changes in teaching style, opposite to the memorization and we can say uh, some old recitation practice to teach the students. But with the modern teaching methods, interactive methods of teaching have been introduced, and this is an educational reform which provides an entirely different angle of teaching and learning, because modern teaching methods do not treat all the students at the same level of their understanding, ability, unlike the conventional method of teaching. Modern teaching methods focus more on questioning, demonstration, explaining, practical collaboration methods, and are more activity based. So let's start with the modern teaching methods. 1 minute. So, about modern teaching method, if uh, we will go with the definition, the teaching method which focuses more on teaching the students for improving their intellect, behavior by using various new and innovative ideas rather than making them recite the syllabus to clear the examination with the same old style is modern teaching methods is modern teaching methods. In simple words, the new teaching method is also called as modern teaching method and is more activity based, and it centers the learner's minds, which involves them entirely into the process of learning. In this method of teaching, curriculum teaching and planning are done, keeping the learner as the primary target. The teacher only leads them and guides them to focus on the objectives of the subject. This is all done by engaging them in activities and by adopting these innovative teaching methods. So, now what is the relevance of 1 minute? I think my slide is hanging. Okay. So, is it visible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sir. बीच में ये hang हो रहा है, sir. Sorry for that. And so, why these methods are introduced? What are the relevance of these teaching methods? As you know, education's face has changed dramatically throughout the time. Previously, the only way to connect education and learners was through teachers. To teach the topic or provide notes, they used traditional methods. The traditional chalk and talk approach can only provide fundamental knowledge to the students. And this strategy is no longer viable because it is outdated and has a limited scope. Many problems can be solved if teachers use modern teaching methods and offer topics in a more scientific manner, moving from reciting and memorizing to experimenting and experiencing. We have been exposed to a variety of new instructional methods in recent years. The advent of technology as well as novel teaching methods has resulted as a revolution in the field of education. So let us talk about some of the modern teaching methods that are currently being used by the teachers. So, although there are so many other methods which are widely used by the teachers uh, in their classrooms, but I have chosen the 8 methodologies which are commonly used either in our country or the worldwide. So these are the flipped classroom. We all are familiar with this method. Then the next one is project-based learning. Then cooperative learning, we are doing this one also. Then gamification. Nowadays, it is becoming very much popular in our pedagogies also. And then problem-based learning, design thinking, and then thinking-based learning, competency-based learning. So out of these 8 methodologies, I think 3 or 4 we are using in our classrooms. So let us discuss one by one. So flipped classroom is not a new term for us because we are using this method in our classroom. So what is a flipped classroom? It is a type of blended learning where students are introduced to content at home and practice working through it at school. So just we have revised the process. We have reversed, not revised. We have reversed the process. Previously, in a conventional method of teaching, the teachers used to give the lectures, and then after the homeworks or the assignments were given to the students. But what now we are doing, we are pre-hand providing them the handouts or notes, and then ask them to prepare those notes, and later on the discussion is facilitated in the classroom. So this is the reverse of the more common practice of introducing new content at school and then assigning homework and projects to be completed by the students independently at home. So flipped classroom is a pedagogical approach, we can say, in which direct instruction moves from the group learning space to the individual learning space, and the resulting group space is transformed into a dynamic interactive learning environment where the educator guides students as they apply concepts and engage creatively in. So I have also added some videos with the slides to make my presentation more comprehensible to the audience. So like if you want, I can play this video, flipped classroom. Otherwise, I will move forward. So if there is audience choice, I can play this video. Otherwise, we can move forward because you all are familiar with this methodology, and that's why, in my opinion, we should move forward because there is time constraint. So let's discuss about the second teaching method, that is project-based learning. Nowadays, in schools, this method is becoming very much popular. And why? Because it also promotes a teamwork. So in project-based learning, students work in groups to solve challenging problems that are authentic, curriculum-based, and often interdisciplinary. Learners decide how to approach a problem and what activities to pursue. They gather information from a variety of sources and synthesize, analyze, and derive knowledge from it. Their learning is naturally valuable because it is connected to something real and involves adult skills such as collaboration and reflection. So here is a video for you, and I think this will be helpful in understanding this method. Are you getting the voice? Hello?
No, ma'am.
1 minute. Let me check the speaker.
Okay, ma'am.
बेटा स्पीकर तो है फुल.
मैम अब आ रही है.
आ रही है? ओके.
मैम ऑडिबल.
बेटा मैम फिर से साउंड बंद हो गए.
सर ये आई डोंट नो व्हाई ऐसा हो गया है, फिर से बंद हो गया, जबकि ये 100% मैंने डाला हुआ है इसमें वॉल्यूम. आई थिंक सर वंस अगेन आई एम ट्राइंग.
रीटा मैडम हम ऐसे ही देख लेते हैं, एनिमेटेड ही अच्छा लग रहा है वैसे भी. ठीक है, तो
ओके
कोई बात
सर.
नहीं, इसको टैब में प्ले करना होता है वैसे. कोई बात नहीं,
सर
कंटिन्यू करिए.
हेलो
कंटिन्यू
सर.
करिए.
हाँ जी.
हाँ जी.
सर बट विदाउट वॉइस के ये समझ में नहीं आएगा. आई डोंट नो क्यों वॉइस नहीं आ रही है इसमें.
आ रहा मैम, सब समझ आ रहा है.
आ रहा है. थैंक यू मैम.
मतलब ये सच में यूट्यूब पे जाएगा?
हेलो।
Okay, Rita ma'am, please proceed forward.
Okay, sir. So this is project-based learning. And now cooperative learning. So we are also doing this students work in small groups to accomplish a common learning goal under the guidance of the teacher. In cooperative learning, students work together in small groups on a structured activity. They are individually accountable for their work, and the work of the group as a whole is also assessed. Cooperative groups work face to face and learn to work as a team. Now, the most important teaching methodology, which is becoming popular, worldwide popular, that is gamification. And we are still not using this method in our classrooms because not for all the topics this methodology is appropriate, but for some topics we can opt this one. So 1 minute, just. Okay, so this is gamification, and what is gamification that need to be elaborated. So the gamification is an of learning is an educational approach to motivate students to learn by using video game design and game elements in learning environments. The goal is to maximize enjoyment and engagement through capturing the interest of learners and inspiring them to continue learning. In gamification, adding game mechanics into non-game environments like a website, online community, learning management system, or business intranet to increase participation. The goal of gamification is to engage with consumers or employees and partners or the students to inspire collaboration, sharing, and interaction. So again, I have one video for gamification, and I think that will be helpful for you in understanding the concept. The some of the platforms like Vedantu or TeachNext and like Byju's, they are using this method in their classrooms, and definitely it attracts the students' attention as well as makes their learning enjoyable activity. So, how to gamify the topics or the subjects that is here? सर वॉइस आ रही है?
नहीं आ रही है मैम।
सर पता नहीं क्या हो गया है इन वीडियो बिना वॉइस के। आई थिंक मैंने तो इसका स्पीकर भी फुल किया हुआ है एंड आई हैव जस्ट चेक्ड।
सर कह रहे थे ना कुछ टैब में खोलना होता है इसको।
सर ये मैंने टैब में ही किया हुआ है। आई एम शेयरिंग फ्रॉम गूगल स्लाइड। मैंने इसको टैब ही शेयर किया हुआ है।
रीटा मैडम इसका राइट क्लिक करके कॉपी यूआरएल करके चैट बॉक्स में डाल दीजिए, आराम से देख लेंगे सारे बच्चे वो अपने।
ठीक है सर,
ठीक है,
ओके सर.
राइट क्लिक करिए और कॉपी URL एंड देन पेस्ट इट इन चैट बॉक्स.
Sir, I have already pasted, so you can go with this link.
एडिशनली दिस वीडियो मैडम, इसी वीडियो पे राइट क्लिक करिए जो वीडियो प्ले हो रहा है.
Grade the student would receive. Students can engage in scavenger hunts where students compete to find answers. Teachers could also set up mathematical tournaments similar
Okay now.
to March Madness.
कुलदीप जी हो गई है
If
आवाज.
you want a great example of gamification, look no further than Khan Academy. The way they hand out badges and earn stars is a prime example. The possibilities and ideas are endless, so feel free to come up with your own ideas to gamify your classroom. Maybe even allow the students to come up with some ideas. Right now, I want to say thank you for your time. Please subscribe to the channel and don't forget to like and share.
Rita ma'am, unmute yourself and proceed. Rita ma'am,
Actually-
unmute yourself.
Sir, I have unmuted myself.
Okay.
Okay,
It is okay.
actually, I don't know why this laptop is hanging and in one click it is not working. Okay, so
Okay.
that's why. And now I think the video volume is also okay. And so let us continue with the problem-based learning. So what is problem-based learning? It is a teaching style that pushes every student to become the drivers of their learning education. The problem-based learning uses complex real-world issues as the classroom's subject matter, encouraging students to develop problem-solving skills and learn concepts instead of just absorbing facts. Problem-based learning fosters self-directed learning, effective problem-solving, communication, and collaboration skills. The goal of PBL, in short, we call it PBL, it includes helping students develop flexible knowledge, effective problem-solving skills, then effective collaboration skills, and intrinsic motivation. So this is about the problem-based learning. So here is again a video. I think it will be helpful to you.
Problem-based learning in less than 5 minutes, I promise. In the 1980s, somebody decided that haircuts were way too messy. So they combined the hair trimmer and the vacuum cleaner, and we ended up with the Flowbee. And I remember begging my parents for a Flowbee, and they said no, because they thought I would use it on the dog, and they were probably right. But the idea there is pretty clear, that you can solve problems in unique ways. And that's the core idea of problem-based learning. Number one, the need for problem-based learning. School exists in a one-size-fits-all factory model where students are expected to passively consume content. But here's the thing, kids aren't widgets, and one-size-fits-all is great for socks, but lousy for minds. Kids need to dream and wonder and imagine. They need to design and build and tinker, and they need to think critically and solve complex problems. For years, the model has involved going to school, being compliant, getting into college, and then climbing the corporate ladder. But the ladder is now a maze, and our students need to know how to navigate the complexity of a global society. In other words, students need to be empowered to solve real-world problems. And that's why we have problem-based learning. Number two, the history of problem-based learning. Problem-based learning began at Case Western University in the 1950s, although it wasn't called that at the time. And the goal was to provide real-world problems for medical students to solve. It soon spread to other medical schools and eventually made its way into business, law, engineering, and education. And by the 1960s, you could find elements of problem-based learning within the new social studies framework of Macialis and Cox, as well as Herbert Thielen's group investigation model. Problem-based learning fits well within the social family of education because of the emphasis on real-world problems and human systems. It's not surprising that many of the problem-based learning theorists cite John Dewey's notion of democratic education, as well as Paulo Freire's concept of critical pedagogy. In other words, kids need to be engaged with solving problems within their world. And here's the description of problem-based learning. There are 4 different phases. Number 1, you present or identify the problem. In some cases, the teacher decides on the problem. In other cases, individual students or the entire classroom community presents the initial problem. Phase number 2, they develop a plan for solving the problem. Here, students work collaboratively in this phase where they figure out what they will do in order to solve the problem. In some cases, it's a really small plan of action, but sometimes they might engage in research, brainstorming, and ideation. And in a few cases, they might even decide to build a product. The next phase is the implementation of the plan. In this phase, students test out their plan to see if they can solve the problem. And then finally, they move to the last phase where they evaluate the implementation. Here, students analyze the results and they also reflect on the process. Now, here's the ideal context for problem-based learning. Problem-based learning works best when students solve authentic real-world problems. Math teacher Dan Meyer warns against solving problems that contain pseudo-context, where students solve problems that don't actually reflect the way the world exists. So it's important that the problems feel real to the students. In social studies, students might broker peace in a war simulation. In math, they might determine the most efficient route for a trip. In language arts, they might figure out if a novel should be adapted into a movie. And in science, they might do a science fair project. But the key idea here is that it is not project-based learning, it's problem-based. And that's because you don't have to design a product. You're simply solving a problem. Ideally, students will solve problems that actually exist in their own world. And here's where the technology comes in. Our devices have a slew of apps that once required additional time and resources. And the problem-based learning provides
Okay, Rita ma'am, please continue and conclude.
Rita ma'am, unmute yourself.
So I have got an alarm from Sunil sir to conclude the topic. So a bit fast, although I have added for each method, I have added one video, and it will take more time, and that's why without showing the videos I'll be concluding. Okay, so now I will continue with the design thinking, which is the next teaching method becoming very popular in the school classrooms. So design thinking is a way to define and solve tough challenges. 1 minute, I am sharing the slide also. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So it is a way to define and solve tough challenges. It focuses heavily on rapid prototype solutions and learning from mistakes. In education, or design thinking curriculum immerses students and teachers who are the designers in real world problem solving. The process of design thinking allow you to look at an existing issue in a company or here in the classroom using creativity. By putting design thinking approach to use, professionals are able to collaborate with one another to get feedback, which thereby helps in creating an invaluable experience to end clients. Then comes thinking based teaching. So I am skipping the video. So this is thinking based teaching. How are thinking skills important in education? This method focuses upon that. So thinking skills enable all of us to process information, recall facts, and apply knowledge to various situations. At a higher level, this can involve problem solving and analysis, which are both useful in education. Thinking based learning, which is called as TBL, is a method of teaching and learning where the teaching of a specific thinking skill is infused into the teaching of content or subject matter. This method is highly effective in not only facilitating the process of acquiring a new knowledge, but at the same time fostering the development or enhancement of thinking skills. TBL provides step-by-step procedures or routines and guiding rules by which a type of thinking can be carried out with a high degree of efficiency and effectiveness. For educators, this perspective can help your students develop critical thinking and creativity skills they can foster for years to come. And then the last one is the competency based teaching, and this is competency based teaching. Competency based education, which is called as CBT again, allows students to advance their ability to master a skill or competency at their own pace, regardless of environment. This method is designed to meet different learning abilities and can lead to more efficient student outcomes. The general goal of competency-based learning is to ensure that students are acquiring the knowledge and skills that are deemed to be essential to success in school, higher education, careers, and adult life. CBL refers to systems of instruction, assessment, grading, and academic reporting that are based on students demonstrating that they have learned the knowledge and skills they are expected to learn as they progress through their education. To conclude, I can say that there is no single teaching method that is suitable to all learners. All these teaching and learning methods are to be used interchangeably. Teachers have a critical role in assisting learners to engage their understanding, building on learners' understandings, correcting misconceptions, and observing and engaging with learners during the process of learning. So it is advised that a teacher should use variety of teaching and learning methods in a single period as to provide a great variability of activities in teaching and learning process. Thank you everyone for the patience hearing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for enlightening us with your deliberation. And it's time for open house. And I'm sure you must have some queries. And for open house, I request all the students and faculty members to kindly raise your hands one by one and ask your queries. Yes, from faculty members or from student side, any question? As no question is there, no query is there. So I request Dr. Moolraj Sharma, HOD PG Department, for presidential remarks.
Thank you, Neha. So, respected principal, sir.
Madhima has raised her hand.
Okay. So, do you want to ask something first? Who has raised hand?
Madhiha, do you want to ask something?
No, ma'am.
I think it's by mistake.
Okay, so respected principal in absentia and Dr. Ronika, deputy HODs of both the departments, the resource persons for today's webinar, library committee, and my dear students, thank you for providing this opportunity for having some of the, you can say, things from my side. So I won't take much time. Only that all the, you can say, resource person have, you can say, deliberated so broadly that you must have received, you can say, a lot of information regarding the recent trends or recent developments in education. As you know, that education is a very broad field, and अगर आप देखें इसमें तो बहुत सारे ऐसे टॉपिक्स थे जिन्होंने आपको पक्का आज थोड़ा सा इंसाइट दिया होगा that these are the development, जो काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें अगर हम थोड़ा सा लुक बैक करें हमारे रिसोर्स पर्सन के डेलिब्रेशंस पे, तो बहुत सारी ऐसी चीज़ें थी, चाहे वो इंक्लूजन को लेके था, चाहे रिसेंट डेवलपमेंट थी टेक्नोलॉजी से रिलेटेड, या फिर आपको पता है कि काफ़ी सारी जैसे मेथोडोलॉजी के बारे में, या फिर चैलेंजेस जो हमने फेस किए, उनके काफ़ी सारी जो डेवलपमेंट्स हुई हैं और हम देखते हैं तो पता लगता है बेसिकली व्हेन वी लुक बैक देन वी कम टू नो दीज थिंग्स. और ये आपके लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है बिकॉज बीइंग स्टूडेंट्स एंड गोइंग टू बी द टीचर ऑफ टुमारो आपके लिए बहुत चैलेंज होगा, राइट? तो कीपिंग दैट इन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू आपको ये चीज़ें करनी होंगी. लेकिन बिफोर दैट आई मस्ट से कि अगर हम जब डेवलपमेंट की बात करें और वो भी एजुकेशन में, तो it has started right from the changing name of our MHRD, that is Ministry of Human Resource and Development. So that has been changed to the Ministry of Education. So that is the greatest development in our country, that we have devoted a full-fledged ministry now to education only. And then a new development, that is NEP, that is National Education Policy 2020. And its implementation, because जो ये NEP आई है और उसकी जो implementation है, right, that has already started basically. और ज़्यादातर उन्होंने जो target set किए हैं हमारे लिए वो रेंज में सिलेक्ट किए हैं, 20 से 22, 21 से 23, 22 से 24, राइट। सो ऑल द यू कैन से डेवलपमेंट जो भी होनी है, चाहे वो पैटर्न को लेके हो, स्ट्रक्चर को लेके हो, चाहे टीचर एजुकेशन का क्या फ्यूचर होगा, या फिर एजुकेशन स्कूल एजुकेशन का क्या होगा, चाहे वो 5+3+3+4 की बात हो एट स्कूल लेवल, चाहे फिर हमारे हो। तो अगर हम टीचर एजुकेशन में ही देखें तो टीचर एजुकेशन में क्या स्ट्रक्चर होने वाला है, 2030 तक क्या डेवलपमेंट होने वाली है, यू नो वेरी वेल, राइट। चाहे वो इंटीग्रेटेड कोर्स हो +2 से बाद, तो +2 के बाद अब स्टूडेंट्स को नेशनल लेवल का टेस्ट देना होगा, राइट, और उससे वो उनकी सिलेक्शन हुआ करेगी। फिर वो बीए, जैसे हम बोलेंगे कि नहीं जी बीए बीएड हो गया, बीएससी बीएड हो गया, उस तरह का स्ट्रक्चर बनेगा, एंड दैट इज नोन एज इंटीग्रेटेड टीचर एजुकेशन प्रोग्राम, ITEP जिसको बोलते हैं, राइट। तो इस तरह से ये डेवलपमेंट जो है वो दोज हैड स्टार्टेड इन दिस यू कैन से फील्ड ऑफ एजुकेशन। और स्पेसिफिकली अगर हम टीचर एजुकेशन की बातें देखें तो स्टिल यू आर डूइंग बीएड और एमएड और एमए और एमफिल भी, या फिर कोई भी और जैसे हमारे शायद सर्टिफिकेट कोर्स वाले भी कुछ बच्चे होंगे इसमें। सो दीज आर द यू कैन से डेवलपमेंट जो कि अब आपको देखना होगा कि आपको अगर NEP की बात करें तो उसमें बहुत अच्छा एक फीचर है कि आपको अब 3 साल एजुकेशन करनी है तो पहले साल में आपको एग्जिट कर सकते हो, दूसरे साल में छोड़ सकते हो, तीसरे साल में छोड़ सकते हो, तो एग्जिट पॉलिसी भी है। तो बहुत सारी ऐसी चीजें हैं। और जैसे मैं अगर थोड़ा फोकस करूं कि मेन बिकॉज वी आर टीचर गोइंग टू बी टीचर्स नाउ, तो इसमें यह है कि हम लोग जो टीचर एजुकेटर्स हैं, फिर जो टीचर्स बनने वाले हैं या जो एट प्रेजेंट टीचर्स हैं, उनके लिए डिफरेंट मेथोडोलॉजीज। तो बहुत सारी जो हमारी वेबसाइट्स हैं, अगर आप उनको जरूर देखें प्लीज, मेरा एक रिक्वेस्ट है आपको कि जो मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एजुकेशन में जितने भी इनिशिएटिव्स लिए हैं उनको एक बार देखें। बहुत सारे नाम हैं और मेरे लिए वो फैसिनेटिंग ये है कि दोज हैव बीन नेम्ड और उनकी जो एब्रीविएशंस यूज करी जाती हैं, आई रियली लाइक दैट। चाहे वो आप देख लीजिए क्या क्या पोर्टल हैं आजकल बन रहे हैं, जो स्वयं प्रभा, स्वयं, राइट, या फिर हमारे निष्ठा हो, या फिर बहुत सारी और भी संपर्क हैं, बहुत सारी हैं, राइट। तो सिमिलरली अगर आप देखें तो और भी वेबसाइट्स हैं और इनिशिएटिव्स हैं जो आपके लिए बहुत जरूरी है। जैसे आपके लिए अगर आप स्किल का ही देखें तो आप देखें कि ई-विद्या जो है दैट इज गोइंग टू बी वेरी क्रूशियल इन योर ट्रेनिंग्स। तो आपके लिए वो ट्रेनिंग्स के लिए बहुत जरूरी है। तो बहुत सारे आप प्लीज उनको जरूर एक विजिट करें। और द लास्ट थिंग आई वांट टू से इज कि आपने जो भी चैलेंजेस फेस किए हैं, माइंड दिस थिंग कि ये आपके लिए भी फ्यूचर में आने वाले हैं, राइट। तो उनको एक सोल्यूशन भी अगर ढूंढ लें आप, तो वो आपके लिए बहुत ज्यादा स्कोप बना देता है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल जैसे हम बोलते हैं कि नहीं जी हम क्लास लगाते हैं, बच्चे अटेंड नहीं करते, राइट। हम क्लास लगाते हैं, बच्चे कैमरा नहीं ऑन करते, फोन किचन में पड़ा होता है, बच्चा अपने लिविंग रूम में होता है या उधर होता है, कहीं और होता है, तो फोन क्लास सुन रहा होता है, राइट, या जो भी टीचर बोल रहा है उसको। तो इस टाइप की हमें फेस नहीं हो रही है बेटा, यू आर गोइंग टू ऑल्सो फेस दीज काइंड ऑफ डिफिकल्टीज, राइट। तो आपके लिए वो देखना है कि कैसे, बिकॉज यू आर इन द सिस्टम, तो आप उसको थोड़ा सा देखें कि आप क्या डेवलप कर सकते हैं, दैट विल बी योर डेवलपमेंट, राइट। सो या तो आप स्ट्रेटजी कोई बनाइए, मेथोडोलॉजी बना दीजिए कोई, एंड यू कैन से डिस्कस विद योर टीचर्स, एल्डर्स एंड अदर एक्सपर्ट्स, एंड देन you can it has opened up many, you can say, ventures which you can take care of, right. So thank you all, and especially library committee for inviting me. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for your valuable remarks. And I would like to thank everyone for gracing this occasion. And at last, I would like to invite Manmeet Kaur, student of B.Ed, special 3rd semester, for formal vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, one and all. I, Manmeet, B.Ed Special Sem 3rd from Maya College. It gives me an immense pleasure to propose formal vote of thanks on behalf of Library Committee, Maya College of Education. First and foremost, I would like to thank our worthy principal and director, Dr. Adit Gupta, for his continuous guidance and support. I extend my thanks to Dr. Mulraj Sharma, HOD PG Department, Dr. Ronika Sharma, HOD UG Department, Dr. Nishtha Rana, Deputy HOD PG Department, and Dr. Monica Bajaj, Deputy HOD UG Department. I am thankful to all the resource persons for such a wonderful and informative deliberations. My sincere thanks to IQSC team, Meyer College of Education, for sparing their valuable time and gracing the occasion. My thanks are due to all the faculty members and students, Meyer College of Education. I also thanks to Mr. Rajan Slathia for technical support. Last but not least, I also extend thanks to the organizers of this event, Mr. Sunil Kumar Bhatt and Mrs. Isha Sharma, librarian, UG and PG department, for conducting such a wonderful webinar in an excellent manner. Thanks, one and all, for gracing the occasion and making this event a grand success. Thank you.